We may not notice it, but our eyes are naturally drawn along lines in a scene. Psychological studies have proven this, and as photographers, it's something we can use to our advantage. Leading lines are a simple but powerful visual device. Take a look around and you'll find leading lines everywhere, but if there's one location that guarantees lines, it's the coast. Not only is the break between land and sea one of the most well-defined natural lines you'll find anywhere, there are also all manner of man-made lines in piers, jetties and walkways that offer plenty of compositional gifts for those willing to look for them. Which is why we've come to this walkway here in Weston-super-Mare. The walkway offers a perfect line that leads the eye out towards the distant island. You don't necessarily need a tripod here, we could just as easily shoot handheld to capture the scene, but a tripod does open the door to longer exposure times, which is always something worth considering whenever you're shooting moving water. A shutter speed of a couple of seconds or more will blur the movement of the water and transform a choppy sea into a silky smooth surface. But to achieve those kinds of speeds, we need one of these. A neutral density filter like this 10 stopper here restricts the light from entering the lens, allowing for longer exposure times. As such, it's an essential accessory for anyone interested in coastal photography. I want to keep both the foreground and background sharp here. Depth of field extends twice as far beyond the point of focus than in front of it. So if I focus 1/3 of the way into the scene and use a narrow aperture, I can be sure of front to back sharpness. As for exposure settings, I've got my DSLR in manual mode with a narrow aperture of f16 and ISO 100. With the filter on, this extends my shutter speed to several seconds, enough to blur the movement of the water. Camera shake can be an issue with long exposures, so I've set my self timer here to 2 seconds so that the act of pressing the shutter won't disturb the camera. When composing the frame for leading lines, look for ways to draw the eye towards the subject. A line like this leads the eye from the foreground towards the distant details, especially if we compose so that the line emerges from the corner of the frame. Roads and pathways are a classic compositional device for drawing the eye. We can either position the path so that it comes into the frame from the side, or try a symmetrical composition by shooting from the centre, so that both sets of lines lead the eye out towards the distant buildings. The beach offers lots of opportunities for leading lines. There's the shoreline between the land and water, then there's the patterns in the sand which show up beautifully when the sun is at a low angle, and a pier is an obvious choice but no less effective. As the tide swept over the walkway here, the foaming water left beautiful blurry streaks. And if there isn't a suitable line to hand, you could always try arranging your own, perhaps with a piece of driftwood or by making a line in the sand. So there we have it, that's how you can use leading lines to improve your compositions.